Alright, hello everybody. I am Joe Bushido and this is the video demonstration slash tutorial for dynamic cloth hair. First of all, I'd just like to say thank you for purchasing my product and for supporting the starving artists in the poser development community. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm going to walk you through the setup process for the dynamic cloth hair. And if we have time, I'll also go through maybe some troubleshooting tips and even show you how to set up the poser wind force generator, so you can use that for your images and for your renders and get some really nice results. So let's get rolling here. So as you can see, I have Poser 8 loaded up. If you're using an earlier version of Poser, I think it is compatible with anything above from Poser 5 and above. So if you're using one of those earlier versions, don't worry, everything I'm about to show you will work just fine. All the commands are the same through all the earlier versions, just Poser 8's interface is a little bit different. In my scene here I have, this is Victoria 4. I've applied a variety of full body morphs to her. You might recognize this figure from the promotional renders on my Renderosity store. And I should note right off the bat that the clothing she's wearing here is also dynamic cloth, but I'm going to skip over that and try to just focus on the hair. So okay, so once you have your figure loaded and textured and all their clothes applied, you're probably going to want to set a pose. Now what I normally do at this point is I will do all my posing work on a later frame of animation. By default, Poser gives you 30 frames of animation, so I'm just going to move that slider like you just saw me do. I'm just going to move that up to frame 30, and that's where I'm going to apply my pose. And I am going to apply this pose, and yep, there it is. So this is a pretty simple pose. There's nothing too complicated going on here, and 30 frames of animation should be more than enough to work with this. And as you can see, the clothes are passing through her as if she's not even there, because like I said, the clothing is also a dynamic object, and I'm going to have to do cloth calculations on that as well, but I'm not going to make you guys sit through that. I'll just do that while the recording is paused or something like that. So once your figure is posed, you're going to want to load your hair. So I'm going to go back to frame 1. And so as you can see now, because we posed it on frame 30, if you slide through your animation, you can see she moves from her 0 pose to the render pose, and the dynamics need that animation in order to function properly. And plus, it kind of gives you, you can go through and check, make sure everything worked okay before you move forward. So now we're going to load our figure, or load our hair, I should say. So under your figures library, you'll have a folder called Joe Bushido, and under that is a subfolder called Dynamic Cloth Hair. And in there you'll find the two versions of the hair. There's the low-res version and the high-res version. The difference between the two, the high-res version has 4 times as much geometry as the low-res. I think the low-res has about 5,000 polygons, whereas the high-res has around 20,000. For this demonstration we're going to use the high res, but I'm going to ignore that. So normally for like a stand in there type pose, the low res will work just fine. But for this I'm going to use the high res, so you can see how long that takes and be able to kind of figure out for yourselves just how long the low res hair takes to calculate. That's the main difference between the two, is the low res calculates a lot quicker than the high res does, simply because it has less geometry. Anyway, I'm going to try not to ramble too much here. So the figure is loaded, so we'll take a closer look at this. Now, even though it is in the figures library, the only part of it that is actually a figure is the cap, which is right here. So with the cap selected, you want to go to figure, wrong button. Figure, conform to, and on your drop down, Victoria 4. Okay, just like you would with any other conforming clothing. But you'll see when I scrub through the animation now, though the hair moves with her, or the cap moves with her I should say, the hair is acting just like the dynamic cloth, and that's because the hair is a dynamic cloth and we have to put cloth calculations on it. The hair is composed of 2 props. You can find them in your drop down menu up here where it says head. Just go to your props and you'll have two props in here. One is thick hair and medium hair. I split it into two props, that way you can do all the calculations on one, and it takes half the time as opposed to doing the whole thing all at once. And in the long run, it'll save you a lot of time. So you can calculate one, make sure everything is okay, then go ahead and calculate the other, or just stick with the one and do your render with that. It's entirely up to you. I just wanted to give you guys that option. But like I said, in the long run, it actually saves you a lot of time. With my thick hair prop selected, I'm going to go into Poser's cloth room and start setting up my dynamics. So you click on the little cloth tab. Once you're in here, click on New Simulation. Let's see here. I'm going to put this under Simulation Range. I'm going to change the 30 to a 45. That'll give us an extra 15 frames of animation, which will allow the hair to kind of settle into place once she's in her pose. And an important note, this option here, cloth self-collision, when you're working with the hair, do not, for the life of you, do not use this option, okay? It causes nothing but problems, and it makes your calculation time extremely long, and the results are absolutely horrible. So don't even use that, okay? So we're using the high-res hair, so we're going to leave everything at default and say OK. Now the next step is to click Clothify, and thick hair is already selected, so we click Clothify, and we want to tell it to collide against Victoria 4, so we click Collide Against, and under Add Remove, put a little X in the box next to Victoria 4. And we're also going to tell it to ignore feet and ignore hand collisions, and we're going to click OK. So if you've set up any kind of piece of dynamic clothing before, it's exactly the same process. So I've already set up a constraint group for you. You can see this row of red dots through the center of her head. That's where the hair is anchored to her head. And I've also set up along the side here, there's a soft decorated group. You see that kind of red patch, I guess you could say there. What that does, it kind of allows that area, that side of her head to kind of hold that shape but still be dynamic, I guess you could say. It prevents the hair from kind of draping into her face during calculations, and it's really helpful. But if you want to get rid of them or tweak them in any way, then you just click the soft decorate group, and you have your little group editor here, and you can add and remove points as you wish. But that's a little more advanced, so I'm going to try and stick to the basics here. Now, like I said, because it's split into two props, anything you do on one prop, you'll have to do on the other as well. So under your drop-down menu here, I'm going to go to Props, and I'm going to select Medium Hair, and the exact same procedure. Go New Simulation, put it to 45 frames, leave everything at default, OK, Clothify, Medium Hair, Clothify, Collide Against, Add, Victoria 4, OK, ignore feet, ignore hand. You might want to leave all these dials here at their default settings. I'm just going to move on from that. Everything else up here, like the dynamics controls, don't even touch them. I optimized it to work with the default settings as best as it can. So you don't even need to worry about those. So with all that done, the dynamics for the hair are ready to go. So if you want, you can actually go ahead and start calculating the simulation for the hair. So now that all your simulation is set up, you have two options at this point. You could, if you like, go on your top menu here, there's Animation. You can click on Recalculate Dynamics, All Cloth, and Poser will automatically go through both simulations for the hair, and you don't even need to be at your computer. You can just kind of press that button, step outside, get a breath of fresh air, come back in about 15 minutes or so, and it should be done. Or you can go through each one individually to make sure everything is working okay. So I think now I'm considering my options here. You know what, I'm just going to go through each one individually. So what I'm going to do is, under my props, I'm going to select my thick hair, and I'm going to set up a decent camera angle, something like that, or let's say I'm going to hit calculate simulation.